session. So now I would like to request Mr. Priyantha to come on video and give his valuable inputs in the theme area. Mr. Priyantha from Sri Lanka, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sanjeev, members of the Asia Pacific and sponsoring association CNS officers Guilds of India. I hope it's morning time for President and Vice President of IFETSIA and all members and participants. First of all, I must thank you for valuable opportunity given to Sri Lanka for sharing inputs and experiences on the theme area.
Hello.
According to the theme topics, I'd like to share a bit of culture that we keep maintaining for mentors' role within the team of ATSEP. We Sri Lankans do a lot of mentoring over the course of our career. At the initial stage of the recruitment of trainee ATSEPs, they must undergo comprehensive theoretical phases of the training in full-time basis at the training school, which is followed by on-the-job training or OJT at respective CNS sites located island-wide. The period allocated for OJT is the initial stage where mentoring process begins to play by seniors, like it's like a relationship between parent and adult child, like bosses and employees. According to your PPT PowerPoint presentation, you said that it's like it's avoiding a fear of failure. So this relationship is like it's a between a parents and adult child, not like bosses and employees. Mentor's role played by the seniors depends on various kind of the subject specialist of the particular CNS ATM system is on availability according to their roster duties. Mr. Sanjeev, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
That's good.
And
Please
sharing
go ahead.
knowledge of operational and technical aspects played by the mentor is inevitable. Apart from the knowledge sharing, mutual respect, trust, shared values, and build up good relationship among the two generations are habitually built up, which have been key factors for eliminating fatigue and stress among the ATSEP. At the end of this initial training, the completion of theoretical and OJT phases, the young ATSEPs have been assigned for respective CNS ATM centers or the section within the Electronics and Air Navigation Engineering Division. That's the all ATSEPs are belongs to. That is to build up more competency, especially of the equipment and system related to the allocated centers. Accumulated wisdom in association of various seniors at various centers during this said OJT period, acquired knowledge further sharpened, ensuring, guiding, and grooming our young fellows at the real-time duty environment of these centers under the umbrella of mentors. During this knowledge transfer period, based on plenty of hands-on activities in the troubleshooting of real-time online systems, building of competency, facing for tense real-time situation, along with making best decisions and learning from mistakes are essential and vital part of the most aspects that mentors played for junior associates. So that is one thing with respect to your PPT. It's clearly said that opening the dam. When the junior ATSEP assigned duties permanently dedicated for relevant CNS systems at selected centers for 24/7 roster duty means that they are capable or indication that youngsters have been properly transferred mentors' accumulated wisdom and expertise to the next generations. Though this long process, knowledge and experience are not only facts that has been transferred from mentors to mentee, but they build in mutual understanding, trust among both generations, help to work in parallel, shoulder to shoulder, facing for real-time duty environment to achieve common objectives of the division. In this stage, sharing new trends gained from academic environment by the youngsters with new approaches for troubleshooting instead of conventional methodology have been transferred from vice versa directions, helping each other to reduce fatigue and stress when facing for real-time environment. So finally, and all in all, providing mentees with moral, career, and institutional support and ensuring transfer of wisdom and knowledge at real time, accept environment, and flowing us and sharing new trends in the direction of vice versa has been leading to create atmosphere of the high performing team units in Sri Lanka. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Priyantha. So now I would like to invite Mr. Sanjeev Singh Kathayat. Yes, sir. Now it is the time for you to share your valuable input and experience.
Thank you, Mr. Santabel. First of all, I'm very happy that you conduct this sort of, interactions. And I just saw the youngsters, Dharana, Suman, and Kiran. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they did their fantastic job. And it's actually very interactive session. Here, though it's a very small example, but in aviations, there are many things to be learned. And there is no limit to learn.
Yes.
Still, we have I feel I have passed 28 years in aviations, but still, aviation, this fraternity is so tough that you have to work in an environment of multidisciplinary organizations where you have to not only with your own ATSEPs or the things that you also showed in your cell model in the past, which is one of the most important things that we should learn, that there will be softwares, there will be hardwares, there will be the livewares as well. So those livewares, the youngsters from the beginning, they should learn. They can learn, they can master the equipment slowly, they can master the softwares and the hardwares. But the major thing is the liveware, where they have the interaction with the human. That is the major point in aviation we should learn. So having said that, in the teamwork, I would like to take, the words of Michael Jordan. He said, we are definitely the talent peoples, but those talent people can win the games, but the teamwork can win the champions. So we have to have a teamwork to do the right job on a right time in a right manner. So without teamwork, we cannot move ahead. And these habits, especially in aviation, we should keep this habit to build up a team and work in a team, not all the time as an individual. And for teachers also, the mentors, what I like to say is, if the teachers, the seniors, they want to lift themselves, they want to get the respects from the youngsters, So while you are lifting yourself, you have to lift some others. Then only, you can lift yourself. So that way you can command the respects. The respect is the thing that you can get it not instantly. It will be from your deeds, from your activities. The youngsters will be achieving you. They will be, monitoring you for a long time. And from that, the youngsters people can learn a lot. And I would like to add one more thing, which I used to say in our community, in our ATSEPs here also. In aviation, the 5 years time, even the 5 years time is a pretty small time to learn. So in 5 years, you can just introduce a little bit with the systems, but there are many, many things you have to know about the aviation. So until and unless ATSEPs, they pass the time of 10 years, they can give the proper outputs. So always keep this thing in mind that even we have the best people, we need a lot of time to learn. And it is not instantly you can learn and do the things. The third thing I would like to tell you, the Nepal is a mountainous country, and I can give you the example of my country. We have so many airports, more than 52 airports in such a small country. We have only 1,000 kilometers of a length with almost 300 to 200 kilometers of the width. And in those airports, to clear by the pilots, they need 10,000 hours. Some of the airports, they have to fly 10,000 hours to master those airports. And without the senior pilot's help, they could have never mastered that skill. Similarly, in our field also, there are so many things, the aviation, especially the ANS, is getting more and more complicated. Our president of IFATSIA just said before that we are now in the new technologies. Our vice president, Mr. Theodore, also said, the new technologies are coming, and every day we are facing with the challenges. Even some things within 2 to 3 years, that becomes the absolute. So now there are the things like next gen coming in US and North America, with the CJARs on the European front and the carrots in Asia Pacific region. There is no limit to learn the things. So the best thing we can do is we can learn from the seniors. Also, we put our efforts to learn by ourselves with the constant devotions and, with the attitude. The talent people can be hired, but we cannot the attitude of the people, so we can teach the people, but we cannot master their attitude. So that things you have to think yourself that in the working environment, unless and until you don't have a proper attitude, that you cannot success. And even the whole aviations, and especially I can say in the ATSEPs, in the air navigation field, we are closely working with the EDCOs, with pilots. We are giving the service, and the attitude matters, and the teamwork matters. And the main thing, as I emphasized before, that always in our working environment, as I would like to quote one proverb, it is said that, the engine is the heart of the aeroplane, but the pilots and the engineers are their soul. So we are the souls to provide the things in aviation. So always keep this thing in mind, and in that way we can grow further. And like today, here the example, not we are in the national boundary. Now the IFATSIA has come, and we all ATSEPs joined the internationally, and we are learning from each other. We are sharing our experiences. And in the previous slides, like Mr. Santabel said, the ATSEPs, the need for the human factors, which is very, very important, which he will elaborate more. Without this human factor study, the ATSEP's working environment cannot be properly. There are many things which is affecting the people to give their proper work. So finally, I would like to say, in aviation, there is no room for the errors at all. We cannot create the error. So always there should be the zero error. There is no tolerance for the error. And what can create the errors? Since there are some youngsters, I can just want to briefly say that these are called the dirty dozen also. The major thing is lack of communication, lack of knowledge, lack of competency, lack of teamwork, lack of resources, lack of assertiveness, lack of awareness, and of course, following the world norms only without revalidating and verifying them. So these are the important things which we should keep in mind and move further for this, the aviation is growing every day and a lot of challenges are coming. And that's why the stress and the fatigues is increasing, not only for the pilots and the ATCOs, but in aviation, if we look very closely, now the ATSEPs are facing much problem because their technology is very fast changing and they have to update themselves. They have to go for installation and all of a sudden they have to deal with the new manufacturers and so many things. So you cannot know everything for that. The team is the best, the teamwork. You can know something by yourself and rest of the thing your team can do. Mr. Santabel, I think for now it's enough from my side. So Mr. Muruganandam can add. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to invite Mr. Muruganandam, General Manager CNS of Chennai Airport. Sir, we would like to hear your valuable inputs on this theme area and also your experience sharing. Please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sendilvel, and all those who are gathered for this webinar. It was a good session so far, and I would like to add to the value of what has been going on in this system, in this session. Taking a cue on the interactive session with some of the ATSEP, with the Regional Director, FRC Asia Pacific region, in terms of the roles of each and every member in a team. I would like to first talk about the role of a team member. In this, the team members mostly, when they are inducted into the organization, they are very young. And we as seniors have a role to shape them up. It is very easy to shape them up when we catch them young and we explain the environment in which they are to operate. First and foremost thing that we need to tell them, before we go into the technicalities of the system in which they are going to work, maintain or operate, we need to give the overall system environment. They should be adequately made aware that aviation industry in which they are going to pursue the career is a highly safety critical real-time environment in which their actions will have safety criticality. This is not to terrorize them. However, they need to be motivated right at the first instant about the importance of their job. It is also true that the aviation industry is having a high level of technical obsolescence, and in that sense, it is very, very dynamic. It is not enough we induct a group of talented people train them on some aspects of their job, and leave them to grow on their own. Learning must be a continuous process, and whatever system that we may put into place in terms of training establishments or in terms of teams, we should be aware of this fact, and we have to have a constant learning process so that we can help the individuals to grow from strength to strength. And when we do so, say for example, if we are a trainer, we should always be aware of the target population. In an industry, in any industry, more so in aviation industry, where an individual is likely to have a career span of 30 years, and the rate of obsolescence is going to be high. And even the technological advancements and the academic curriculums are undergoing very fast changes. We are likely to have a target population which is varied in terms of the technical baseline knowledge as well as their learning preferences. Whatever method we may decide in taking our workforce through a process of learning, we must be aware of these differences. What I may like or what may be a preferred learning method for me at my age may not be suitable for an youngsters to learn from. Because if you think that the entire generations can be divided into the baby boomers, the Generation X, and the millennials, and currently we are seeing the tech-savvy post-millennials who are very adept in technical, in terms of information and communication technology. Our training process need to address this and put methods in place for effective learning. This is at the beginning. As far as the team members, whoever is participating in a team member, be it young or an experienced person, it is very, very vital to give a try. We should all, as Sanjeev rightly pointed out, we should not have any fear of failure. We must volunteer to learn and perform a task. Share your experience. Seek help from your seniors as well as your team members. There is nobody who knows everything. Shed your inhibitions. Be frank as to what you know, what you want to learn, and the seniors will always be at your side to help you in learning. As far as the team lead is concerned, in addition to making the team members learn, they must always have the overall picture in their vision at all the times. And they must be aware of the situation at all times. As I said, we are operating in a real-time environment which has both technical environment as well as operational environment. And operational environment can undergo drastic changes in very quick time. When somebody is to operate in such a dynamic scenario, it is very, very important for the team lead to be always aware of the situations, and he or she should be able to anticipate the unfolding scenarios and prepare the team well in advance, handhold them adequately, support them whenever they are having difficulties, communicate very effectively to individual members as well as in group as to what are all the positives of any individual and where there can be scope for improvement. Provision of feedback effectively at all times is very, very important. And most importantly, share your experience, communicate with them very often, and closely monitor each and every individual's performance so that you can augment or support individuals wherever they need support. I have been part of a training establishment in Civil Aviation Training College, Allahabad, and also in the regional site. And I had a team of competent ATSEP in Chennai. I can give an example. During this trying times of COVID-19, we have a challenge. As we have been experiencing a lot of induction of the present generation CNS ATM systems. Unfortunately, we could not augment our workforce enough. So we are in a situation where we have to sustain the airness operations for the civil aviation in India with a limited workforce. And we collectively decided together to implement a roster in which we have identified core group members who will constantly monitor the performance of various CNS ATM systems and also adequately protect people to work from home and expose them selectively to the work environment in order to protect them from the spread of the disease. And also, if somebody is needed at the work spot for some reason, he or she should be able to go and do it. And inculcate a habit of constant learning. What I find personally, I don't know about what happens in other states. At least in India, I feel once trained, people do not read or continuously in the process of developing their knowledge. Very few people are able to follow the changes in terms of what is happening in terms of ICAO annexes, what is happening in Eurocontrol in terms of developing technologies for the CSR, and what is happening in CARATS. Unless we are continuously updating ourselves, very soon we will become obsolete. Inculcate this habit of continuous learning in your team right at the start, young age. Catch them young and inculcate these habits, and I am sure they will be able to perform very well. Give feedback, appreciate their good work. If there is any problem for them to perform, you can have an one-to-one interaction and you can address their problems. And we should, as Theo pointed out, there are changes in the CNS ATM systems. Instead of standalone CNS ATM systems, it is moving more and more towards networked systems with systems distributed across the globe. And there is a different perspective, their need for a different perspective of training requirements, in fact, in almost all ANSPs. Of course, Doc 10057 and 9868 has given us a guideline as to how to structure our training, but it is very, very important to adopt these guidelines without compromising quality. When, as a trainer, if I have to design a unit training as per Doc 10057, I must first assess and decide on how I am going to assess the competencies of a trained person when he or she is going through an unit training, addressing all the competency elements that are given in Doc 9868. If I develop the training first and then decide upon the assessment, probably there will be an error and probably I will be able to assess what I have been made as part of training. But the job requirement, the competency elements in the assessment should come from the job requirement, and your training must be developed only after deciding on the assessment methodology that addresses the competency elements as given in Doc 9868. It is very, very important for all ANSPs to adopt Doc 10057 and Doc 9868 without rushing through the process, because with great difficulty, ATSEP community all over the globe and with the support of IFATSI, we have brought in this guidance document in terms of 10057 and Doc 9868. It is very important for the ANSPs to adopt them very, very effectively, and so that probably in future we will be able to put our requirement in Annex 1 for the personal licensing more effectively and more aggressively. And with this, I want to hand over the floor to the regional director. And if there are any queries, I'll be willing to answer in the discussion session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.